Hey traders, checking out on the stock market today. Another slow grind up day for the broader market, but we did see some profit taking in some places into the end of the day. We'll check that out. Going to look at a little shift in the correlation between the dollar and gold. Going to check in on our Chinese sectors names and see if they can continue their bounce. And we'll look at what I look for when a longer term trend starts to shift momentum, looking at pen stock. So not much to report on the SPY and QQQ front. We're still holding the pattern of a higher low every day. We're still slowly grinding to all-time highs. It's certainly not an emphatic push higher at this point. The big bull move was done off the low. Now it's the slow grind up. And we'll be looking for a daily higher low to form the next time we consolidate. QQQ and SPY, very similar on their daily charts the last 5 days. IWM has had our attention for the fear reset when SPY pulls back, sets that higher low, and we look for IWM and growth names to benefit from it. At this point, our bounce, the last time it happened, was 6.3% on the dot. This time around, what do we got? Guess what? 6.31. Is that our top? For now, maybe. Hourly consolidation into the end of the day. There was a lot of bear volume behind it. Look at the 15-minute. I always want to zoom in and see where exactly was that volume. And it was definitely some selling pressure into the end of the day, locking in some profit. And when you are in a position that has gone up 6% in 4 days, some profit taking, definitely not surprising. We had a bunch of resistance here as well. Look at all this struggle we had at 224 and 225 in the past. We topped out today at 224 after 6.31%. Is this the top of the bounce? We have to lose the hourly uptrend for that to be the case. If we hold 220.85, it is just an hourly higher low. So the hourly uptrend will have to be lost tomorrow for us to be looking for a daily higher low to form. And then the big question that we have, is this going to be like 2 of the previous 3 resets where we did confirm a trend change and see follow through? This was the most significant period of bull action. Another fear reset in SPY only led to this and a rejection from resistance with no daily trend change. And the most recent one did lead to a daily trend change. It didn't see a ton of follow through once that trend had changed. It will be very notable to me if we set a daily higher low and break this resistance zone. That will be bulls proving essentially a weekly double bottom and then break of weekly resistance. So it's going to be pretty important for IWM over the next week as to whether or not we can take out that level. And with that, we're watching our growth names. XBI had another good day today for the bulls, closing strong. XBI has now set a double bottom. Let's look at the monthly. So monthly low, high of the bounce, and now a double bottom down at 118. Still haven't changed the daily trend. So again, like IWM, XBI does have to set a daily higher low and higher high if we're going to see follow through from this initial bounce once we top out. But the hourly uptrend is remaining intact from here. 129.66. 130.50, a couple key resistance levels. We're right there at our previous resistance zone. And we'll see if the bulls are able to confirm a daily trend change from here. Probably won't get that answer for all of these names, IWM, XBI, and other growth names, until next week. Other than that, we had TAN and the solar sector. They had another green day today, trying to create the space for an eventual daily trend change. ARKK, barely holding up, but it still is. In the MJ sector, looking a little toppy. Daily EMA 12. Both Canadian and US MJ. The weakest of the week still. Still bear flags out there. And still the weakest growth sector names. XLF, very significant recovery. XLF and SMH are very similar in their daily setups. And that's unusual just because SMH has been correlated to QQQ much more significantly than to XLF over the last year. But a higher low was set, and we are testing the all-time high right now, 38.92. Very big day. Today was a day where I was looking in the wrong direction for XLF, and these are the clues to how to know you're looking in the wrong direction. First things first, I was saying, all right, we're going to open right at the high of yesterday. I'm scouting a daily lower high, anything under 38.95. So what I'm going to see here, what I want to see if I'm looking for a bearish entry is an inability to break the high of yesterday straight into a pullback, or a break of the high of yesterday with no follow through straight into a pullback. So right on the 1 minute time frame, it started decently for bears by rejecting, no, not rejecting, we broke the high of yesterday, but straight into a pullback, a 12-cent pullback. It's almost 0.5%. So in the first 4 minutes, it had me thinking, okay, this setup is viable for the potential of a daily lower high being set. Bears have a lot more proving to do, but the initial setup is there. We then bounced, okay, no biggie, held the low of the day. That's 1 point in favor of the bulls. We did not see a new low of the day. And then right here is your big don't short me signal. A new high of the day on the biggest volume spike of the morning. And again, you're not going to see, way more often than not, the highest 1 minute volume is not going to be happening at that point in the morning. So it was very notable to me that the new high of the day had that volume behind it. And then the bulls just controlled the entirety of the morning from there. So that's a signal to take that small loss because the bears aren't ready yet. And XLF is either going to see an all-time high or lose the hourly uptrend and look for a daily higher low to form with lots of space for it to do so. SMH, very similar. Biggest difference here, as we'll rotate between the two to see how similar they are. The biggest difference was SMH, these paintbrushes are killing me. SMH was a lot more significant pullback, but they've both been bouncing for 5 days. After the fear reset on SPY, XLF testing the all-time high, SMH is close, but a very significant recovery for SMH as well. So profit taking into the end of the day on SMH. Look at the volume, just like IWM. So big bear volume there. So the question into tomorrow for IWM and SMH, do we lose the hourly uptrend and start daily consolidation? And there's plenty of space for bulls to be scouting a daily higher low, anything above 249.35. Aggressive bears are top fishing the all-time high up at these levels. NVDA did see a new all-time high today with an inside bar bull break. But SMH, no all-time high just yet. There is potential for a top fish with that level. Baba, let's look at these Chinese names. So Baba lost the low of yesterday and started daily consolidation, but we ended the day up near the high. So I'm viewing this as the low, high of the bounce, and this is bulls trying to set a quick higher low. And if we can break 174.15 within the next couple days, then that tells us bulls are getting follow through on this bounce. So 166 is now a key support level. If 166 breaks, bearish, then it's a setback for the bulls, and it's going to be that much harder to confirm a daily trend change. If 166 holds and we break 174.15, look at the daily EMA 12. That's been resistance now for the last month with 5 rejections, and that's now going to be coming into play. And if the bulls do get over 174.15 with some follow through, we'll be looking for that daily EMA 12 to try and turn into support. You also got to be watching KWeb, which is the Chinese internet stocks. Closed near the high of the day, daily inside bar, and key resistance of 52.12. So let's see if KWeb can keep this bounce going. We did not start daily consolidation on KWeb like we did on BABA. And after 50.63, 52.12. So haven't topped out on KWeb just yet. We're watching both of them for clues. But bigger picture, bulls are hoping that this is, the bottom on these Chinese names, hoping we reached a climax of fear to be hit for weeks. So bulls are hoping that this bounce can continue for a significant amount of time. So now let's take a look at Penn. So we've been watching Penn for a swing trade entry, looking for a monthly higher low. And again, this is just the same setup that we were watching on the growth names in the monthly time frames that led to a really good swing entry on ARKK for me personally, and a lot of those growth names setting monthly higher lows. Penn did not see a monthly higher low set. It's been pulling back for 6 months, with bears in complete control for 6 months. So again, as the broader market continues to grind higher, we're looking around at places saying, okay, well, who is primed, who has good risk to reward to be looking for some bullish funds to be flowing that way as long as the broader market is staying strong. And Penn was one of those names. Z is another one. Z has more work to do. Same thing though, 6 months of consolidation after a massive breakout. That's the other aspect. Massive breakout to all-time highs, 6 months of consolidation looking for a monthly higher low. And it's just the same thing that we were doing on NIO and ARK back in May for that same trade setup, except it was 4 months of consolidation instead of 6. So just to touch on Z, Z is weaker than Penn. Z has to confirm a daily trend change once this move tops out and get over 112.86. That's a key level. So the way that I approach this with my mindset, looking at these names, is I'm looking bullish, but I put myself in a bear mindset. And I say, okay, if I'm a bear, am I comfortable? And I can see 6 months, bear's extremely comfortable, not a worry in the world. And then I look at this chart, and on Z, I can say, well, anybody who's been short, aside from the last 2 weeks, is still in the red, or in the green, I should say. So they're comfortable. But if you look at Penn, there's a very big difference. So Penn's obviously had great volume and a great breakout the last 4 days. Today was just a monster move. But if you look at Penn and where the price currently is, 79.72 broke. So I can look at this chart and say, okay, anybody that has been short Penn or entered a short in Penn since June 16th is now underwater. They're in the red. So that is essentially 5 or 6 weeks of any short now in the red. And I look at the next key level. Well, if we get over 85.69, that then expands it to anybody that's been short in the last 2.5 months. So it's just starting to put pressure on bears much more than we're seeing on Z. So very similar setups, but Penn obviously a much stronger one. At this point, it's very extended in the short term. RSI in the short term has gone out the window on this massive momentum shift. And we're going to be watching for a daily higher low to form. Bulls are going to be watching for first hourly oversold conditions, scouting a daily higher low, but we're looking for this monthly bounce. And now the question is, how significant is this monthly bounce going to be in terms of retracement? Can we get back to 50% retracement in some of the fundamentals behind Penn? We've got football season and betting and all that coming back online. DKNG gave a little heads up. Look at the DKNG bull break yesterday. They had some news, but they took out a key resistance level, 2 key resistance levels yesterday and got followed through today, and Penn got its big move today. And for DKNG yesterday, it was, again, same thing. Anybody bearish for the last 7 weeks is now underwater. More than that. 15 weeks. So just a complete shift in momentum for that monthly higher low to be set. DKNG is stronger than Penn overall. EMA 12 support hold. Inside bar bear break with 0 follow through. Remember NIO? Inside bar bear break with 0 follow through. It's the same setup. Monthly patterns and EMA 12 support. Dollar, right down to our support line. So tried to set a daily higher low today and had a solid bounce, but unable to follow through and gave it all back. And what stands out to me is the dollar is red today. Remember how we've been saying gold has been standing out stronger than the dollar the entire bounce. And the dollar is red and gold is red. That's a notable shift for me. This entire period, gold has been holding up well comparative to the dollar. And we can't say that today. So that's different for the first time in 2 weeks. Daily support is still holding 1774. If 1774 is lost, our weekly lower high is potentially shaping up on gold. So now the question is, can the dollar keep the daily uptrend and hold 92.47 support? Bulls have proving to do on the dollar. Silver is also holding on a lot better than gold. Silver is still right up at its bounce high initially, 23.96. That resistance is still in play. Today was a daily inside bar, and we're closing near the high of yesterday. And again, obviously a lot different than gold. So we know the XAU XAG chart, which shows us gold strength relative to silver, is dropping after being very bullish for multiple weeks. It's now pulling back as silver is gaining on gold a bit. Oil is watching for a short. Oil has been all bulls with a 10% bounce the last 3 days, but we are coming up on a key resistance level of 69.39, and we're still a few percent under that level. Look back to the last time. The last time we were talking about a top fish on oil, it was a monster bull move, but it was right up towards resistance. And that ended up being an awesome top fish with tons of follow through. So bears are keeping an eye out for a potential playoff of 69.39 and 69.87 resistances. And we would have to see a loss of the 4-hour uptrend. So I zoom in and look for signs. Are we forming a rising wedge on shorter term time frames? I don't know. I haven't looked at the shorter term time frames yet. 15 minutes too short term. So hourly, let's draw this uptrending resistance line. Don't like that one. Hitting the recent price action here. And if we were going to draw an uptrending support line, it would be right there. Possibly an hourly rising wedge. And that would have to break bear for a daily rejection from resistance into daily consolidation. And because of the size of the bounce, we would anticipate a daily high or low is the most likely scenario. And then the bulls would be hoping for an inverse head and shoulders to be the result if we reject. So if the hourly rising wedge breaks bear, we look for the daily high or low and see if the bulls can change the daily trend in their favor into next week. I hope you're well, do good things, and we will check back in tomorrow.
Like one tiny one, but it's just like